What's happening, everybody? On today's show, a busy weekend ahead with some big SEC hoops games with some teams that really need a win this weekend. Also, the SEC baseball season gets underway. We'll give you a little bit of what to expect there. And we will go around the conference as Derek Dooley is back in the SEC and 24/7 Sports. They have some potential college game day destinations for 2022. Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On SEC, everybody. Great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Makes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start with Derek Dooley, reportedly returning back to the SEC. According to multiple media reports out there, the 53-year-old Derek Dooley will be a senior offensive analyst at Alabama. It will be Dooley's third time working for a team coached by Nick Saban. If you remember, he was on Nick Saban's LSU staff back in the early 2000s. Then he was followed him to the Miami Dolphins, and now he'll be on Saban's staff at Alabama. Of course, after his time with the Miami Dolphins, Dooley landed the Louisiana Tech head coaching job. And then when Lane Kiffin departed from Tennessee, Dooley became the Volunteers head coach. He later went on to the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys and then returned to the SEC as Missouri's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 2018 and 2019 before going back to the NFL. So welcome back to the SEC, Derek Dooley. Great to have you back. Over at Georgia, Seth Emerson, who covers the Georgia Bulldogs, he put out a report that said one minor note on the upcoming coaching staff for the Georgia Bulldogs. Will Muschamp's title is listed as co-defensive coordinator / safeties coach. He said that confirms Georgia will be hiring a cornerbacks coach for its remaining opening. That could always change if need be, but for now, it looks to be in the market for a corners coach. So just something to keep an eye on there for Georgia. Also, Stetson Bennett, he will throw out the ceremonial first pitch at the Georgia baseball season opener on Friday. It is expected to be a perfect strike, I saw somebody said, but we will see. If not, maybe they'll be calling for JT Daniels or Carson Beck or whoever else. Over at Alabama, Nick Saban, he's been on the speaking circuit talking about to plenty of coaches and different people out there and talking about his success. And one thing that he talked about was the injury situation in the national championship game. And talking with the Alabama Football Coaches Association on Thursday, Saban explained that the players who were next in line to take those reps had not prepared for the big moment. He said, quote, "We lost the national championship game because we had three corners out, both starters and the best backup. So we're playing with some guys that didn't have a lot of experience, and it eventually got us into the fourth quarter. We had the kind of team where we had a really good quarterback and we wanted to have skilled guys." He said, but we're playing with guys that typically didn't have to play at those positions. The lesson to be learned is there were three guys, and I'm not calling out names, that basically didn't do the things they needed to do throughout the season because they were frustrated with their circumstance. So we had three guys. They all had a significant role in the national championship game, and not one of them could take advantage of the opportunity that they had because they never ground through it. They never made themselves the best player they could be. Man, who motivates his players better than Nick Saban? I would expect those three guys will all be ready to go for the start of next season and play hard and know their role. Meanwhile, over at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is reportedly adding a top up-and-coming defensive assistant to his staff from On3 Sports. They're reporting Western Kentucky defensive coordinator Maurice Crum is headed to Oxford to be the Rebels' co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. Maurice Crum, 35 years old, was a two-time captain at Notre Dame during his collegiate career, played professionally in the UFL, got into coaching in 2012, coached under Charlie Weiss at Kansas. Joined Western Kentucky in 2017 as linebackers coach and became co-special teams coordinator before eventually becoming co-defensive coordinator. So expect him to join the Ole Miss staff here very soon. Speaking of Ole Miss, Caleb Williams is one of the big names out there in the transfer portal that left Oklahoma, ended up at USC. But in an interview with Russ Dellinger over at SI, his father, Carl Williams, said that they really like Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, but he said Kiffin would have had to be at a different school for it to make sense for Caleb. So one of those, he said if Kiffin were at a different school, maybe they would have thought more seriously about him. He said Lane Kiffin was fun. We liked him. It was going to be tough for us to go to Mississippi. Other guys are trying to put on a show. You could change the trajectory of our program. Dude, we don't care about your trajectory. The school colors and buildings. It's who can get this kid ready for the NFL. So take that for what you will. Meanwhile, over at Kentucky, they are preparing for the real possibility of losing offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, that coming from ESPN NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler. He says that Cohen has already turned down other collegiate and professional offensive coordinator positions to stay at Kentucky, but a return to the Los Angeles Rams would be difficult for him to turn down. Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio also said that he heard Cohen turn down the New Orleans Saints offensive coordinator position. So we will see if Liam Cohen jumps back to the Rams or stays at Kentucky. Ron Zook had been on Maryland's staff under Mike Loxley as an analyst since 2019. This past year, he served as the team's special teams coordinator and associate head coach. But on Thursday, it was reported that Zook would be stepping down from that post. He will likely be replaced by James Thomas Jr. Thomas spent last year working under Zook before leaving for Florida staff this offseason. But with the opening coming open at Maryland, Thomas is expected to head back to Maryland. So Florida not likely to get James Thomas Jr. after all. Lastly, Bruce Feldman, who covers college football for The Athletic, he was a guest on the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday, and he was asked about Coach Ed Ogeron and what his plans will be for next season. Feldman thinks that Ogeron will end up working in television. He said, my guess is some form or another in TV, maybe the SEC Network or ESPN. He said, I think the thing with him is he's got a lot of great stories to tell. So we will see what happens with Coach O. He makes enough money, he could just stay on the beach for a year before he considers his next move. And there you have it. That is Around the Conference. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. When we return, we'll run through the basketball slate this weekend as well as a little bit on the baseball side as well. That's coming your way next. Look, we know football is over, but basketball is in full steam, and that goes for the pros and the college level. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is your number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news throughout the year. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your number one source for boxing, hockey, UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information there. Head over to their website today. You can do so on your desktop or mobile device. You can learn all about the trends and the action and where everything is going. BetOnline is where the game starts. Go check them out today. They got all the SEC games happening this weekend right there for you. BetOnline.net. Roll along here, Locked On SEC, and man, this weekend is a fun one. We've got the start of SEC baseball. It's going to be a cold one, by the way, across much of the South. A cold front coming through and bringing so much cooler temperatures all across the SEC states. But I wanted to jump into it, preview a little bit of what to expect, and we'll start first with SEC basketball because we've got some big games happening this weekend, and we get a little bit of a doubleheader if you're a Missouri or Mississippi State fan because they are having to make up a game for early in the season. So what you're getting is tonight, if you're listening to this on Friday, February 18th, You're getting Missouri at Mississippi State at Humphrey Coliseum, 6 p.m. Central. And then on Sunday, we're going to get both teams going up to Missouri in Como, and they're going to play Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. It'll be Mississippi State at Missouri. So 2 games between Mississippi State and Missouri, both at their home respective stadiums, one Friday, one Sunday. So those will be interesting. Kind of weird to we get a SEC basketball game on a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday night. This doesn't happen very often, but will be interesting to watch those and see if Mississippi State and Iverson Molinar can take care of business and get a couple more wins in the win column. Some other games to keep an eye on this weekend. At 12 p.m. Central, 1 Eastern on Saturday, it will be a big one at Rupp Arena. Alabama going up to Rupp, taking on Kentucky. Alabama has gotten back into the win column a couple times as of late. Nice win over Arkansas last week. And they're going up to Kentucky, who's just been red hot. And outside of their loss to Auburn, they've beaten just about everybody that they've played. That one will be, like I said, 1 Eastern at Rupp Arena. Kentucky 10-3 in the conference. Alabama back above 500 in the conference at 7-6. They're facing a tough one, but that would be certainly a huge a laundry list of resume wins that Alabama has this year. That'd be a monster one if they could find a way to win up at Rupp Arena. Also at noon Central, 1 Eastern, Ole Miss will be on the road at Georgia. A battle of 2 teams just not having very good seasons. Ole Miss 3-10 in the conference. Georgia 1-12. At 1 p.m. Central, 2 Eastern on ESPN. It'll be number 2 Auburn going on the road to Florida. I expect Auburn to win, but Florida kind of clinging to their postseason lives right now. 6-7 in the SEC, 16-10 overall. If they could find a way to get a big home win over Auburn, that would go a long way to trying to punch their postseason ticket. Later in the afternoon at Bud Walton Arena, Arkansas starts their treacherous final 2-week stretch of the season as they play host to number 16th ranked Tennessee. It's playing really good basketball as of late. Arkansas, as we mentioned, had their 9-game win streak snapped against Alabama a couple nights ago. So we will see if Arkansas can hold court on their home court and beat the Vols. But, man, Arkansas's got games against LSU, Kentucky coming up. It's a brutal stretch for them. Need to take care of business and protect home court. And if you're Tennessee, that would certainly be a nice resume win, winning on the road at Arkansas. At 5 o'clock Central, Texas A&M will be at Vanderbilt to battle 2 5-8 teams in the SEC. The winner of that one keeps some bit of their postseason hope alive. And then at 2:30 Central on the SEC Network, LSU is at South Carolina. LSU finally, they got a couple wins as of late. They're back above 500, much like Alabama. They're 7-6 in the SEC, but LSU does not have the resume wins that Alabama has. Kind of a must-win for LSU. You got to go win at South Carolina, who is 6-7 in the SEC. They've not been terrible, but consider that one a must-win for LSU up at South Carolina. Those are your basketball games to watch for this weekend. Some really good ones across the conference. Meanwhile, the SEC baseball slate gets underway. Just want to run through a couple of these of some games to watch. Alabama this weekend, they will get underway taking on Xavier. Their Friday night starter expected to be Garrett McMillan. Arkansas, number 2 ranked Arkansas. They're going to host Illinois State. Connor Noland will take the mound for them on Friday night. Auburn, they're playing in the State Farm Showdown in Dallas. They're going to take on Oklahoma on Friday, Texas Tech on Saturday, and Kansas State on Sunday. It's a really good early slate to kind of see where Auburn is. But Tommy Sheehan will get the first pitch on the mound against Oklahoma. He is the transfer in from Notre Dame. Florida, they will play a home series against Liberty. Florida ranked number 9 in the country. Hunter Barco getting the ball in their Friday night game, and he's expects to be their ace again this season. Meanwhile, Georgia will send Jonathan Cannon to the mound as the Bulldogs get ready to host Albany. Kentucky will take on Jacksonville State this weekend. They will send Cole Stupp to the mound, their ace. Meanwhile, LSU, an interesting one, they will take on Maine. LSU preseason top 8. They will send Blake Money to the mound, a guy who lost some weight from last season and kind of proved himself throughout the spring, and they expect could be maybe take this opportunity and prove that he could be part of this rotation. Mikhail Hilliard will go Saturday for LSU. Mississippi State, we know they are absolutely loaded once again. They're going to host Long Beach State, who's a preseason top 25 team. And they're going to send their slate of Landon Sims, big-time arm, on Friday night, followed by Casey Hunt and Cade Smith. Missouri, they will play host to Nichols, or rather travel to Nichols, and they will send Spencer Miles to the mound in their Friday night start. Ole Miss, they are back out there, and they will be taking on Charleston Southern. Derek Diamond, we know their ace, will be on the mound for them. South Carolina will host UNC Greensboro. Will Sanders will be on the bump to start Friday night. Tennessee playing host to Georgia Southern. Chase Burns, the righty, will get the ball on Friday night. Texas A&M, they will host Fordham. Nathan Detmer will get the ball in Friday night's game. And then Vanderbilt sent Chris McIlvain to the mound. They're playing a fun one against a top 10 team in Oklahoma State coming to Vanderbilt. So battle of two top 10 teams. Vandy will send McIlvain Friday. Nick Maldonado they'll save for Saturday. And then Carter Holton will go on Sunday. And there you have it. That is what to expect this weekend in the SEC baseball slate. It's going to be a fun one. I'm so excited SEC baseball is back. But like I said, it's going to be some cold ones. So anybody heading out to their respective ballparks this weekend, based on geography and where you are, expect some really cold environments across the SEC. All right, when we return, a fun article from 24/7 Sports. They took an early look ahead to next year's college football slate and just kind of projected where College Gameday could go, particularly some of the SEC venues. We'll run through that in just a second. Of course, this is the time of year that a lot of you have given up on your New Year's resolutions. But look, if you're not sticking to it, you can always try to do better and eat healthier. And that is by going and check out our friends at Built Bar. Head to their website, built.com. Look, if you haven't tried their puffs yet, you are missing out. They are the best tasting Built Bars you can find. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. So they're fluffy, marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They are a treat. They are covered in 100% chocolate. They've got tons of different flavors, yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. There are tons of different ones. You can try them all and find which one is your favorites. As mentioned, Built Bars are mostly 130 calories, 4 grams sugar, 4 grams net carbs, and 17 grams of protein packed in there. Go check them out at built.com. And when you find something you like, make sure you use our promo code LOCKED15. That's going to get you 15% off your order. Use our promo code LOCKED15. Get 15% off at built.com. Going along here, Locked On SEC, and I just figured, look, something to throw in a little bit football related as we start to look ahead to next football season. One of the big questions is going to be college game day, and what campuses are they going to for some of the big SEC games. Keep in mind, the SEC's got a lot of good non-conference games heading into next season. So figure let's take a look. 24/7 Sports, they did a good job of breaking this down. So let's jump into it. Week 1, where could College Gameday be headed? Well, they threw out week 1, Oregon versus Georgia in Atlanta. They said, look, you got two options here. Notre Dame is at Ohio State, or Oregon versus Georgia from Atlanta. They said ESPN cannot pass up the chance to feature the defending national champs in the national spotlight to open the season. If anyone knows how to attack Georgia, it's Dan Lanning, who just left Georgia. He's now at Oregon. And, of course, you get the storyline of Bo Nix, the Auburn transfer quarterback, now presumably starting for the Oregon Ducks. So that's as good of a first week matchup as you will get with some great storylines. So that one should be the site of College Gameday in week 1. And week 2, look, it doesn't get any better than Alabama at Texas. The Longhorns play a number of must-watch games this coming season. And Alabama is must-see TV just about every week. But the Crimson Tide, man, two of the best players in the country coming back. Quarterback Bryce Young, who won the Heisman, and Will Anderson Jr., one of the best defensive players in the country. The obvious angle here is Steve Sarkisian's chess match against his former boss, Nick Saban. It might be a little bit of one-sided because Texas is not on the same level as Alabama, but we'll see, right? Quinn Ewers, the quarterback, went to Ohio State, and now he's back at Texas. Texas loaded up in the transfer portal as good as anybody this offseason. So we will see what Texas looks like. But that should be an easy spot for College Game Day in week 2. Heading to week 3, this is a fun one in case you hadn't looked ahead at the schedule. Miami is at Texas A&M in week 3. 24/7 Sports, they say, would the College Game Day crew venture to Texas back-to-back weeks? Well, there are certainly other top-end non-conference options there. You got Penn State going to Auburn. It's a good one. Oklahoma's at Nebraska, but they said, look, first-year coach Mario Cristobal's first chance in the spotlight against a preseason media darling in Texas A&M. So it might be a good time to buy stock in Miami. Should be a matchup of two top 25 teams. It could be Miami's reintroduction to national prominence. After that, we head on down to week 6, where it is Texas A&M at Alabama. That one's a no-brainer. Obviously, A&M was able to beat Alabama in College Station last season. They said, anchored by the nation's top-ranked signing class, A&M heads into this season with sizable momentum despite a disappointing finish last season. Jimbo Fisher may have his best team this fall and became the first former assistant to beat Saban head-to-head last year. If he accomplishes that again, the Aggies move from SEC threat to Western Division frontrunner entering the second half of the season. Alabama has won 13 straight home games. Its last loss coming to LSU back in 2019. As we head on down the list of projected games, we go back to Alabama, but this one at LSU in week 10. They say there are 2 games in the spot that week, Alabama at LSU and Clemson at Notre Dame. They said Nick Saban versus Brian Kelly might be too salivating to pass up on, especially with this one at Tiger Stadium, probably at night. This experience is why Chip Kelly left the Fighting Irish for Baton Rouge. Alabama LSU always has high stakes, and the Crimson Tide could be coming into this road game unbeaten and ranked at the top of the polls. From there on, it's a lot of Big Ten football games that they project, and particularly Week 13, Michigan and Ohio State, and you get why. But I just thought it was fun to highlight a couple of the big SEC games happening next season that we very well could see College Game Day at, and we'll bring some big national attention and an atmosphere. And look, the SEC, honestly, we get the SEC Nation show on SEC Network. They're on an SEC campus every week. But, man, it doesn't seem like more often than not the College Game Day crew is on an SEC campus just about every week. It's because you have so many ranked opponents, so many ranked teams, and so many ranked opponents taking on one another. So looking forward to next football season. We'll continue to keep you up to date on all the latest things going on around the SEC when it comes to SEC football throughout this offseason. We got spring games coming up right down the road. And again, I'm super excited for this weekend with SEC hoops starting to wind down, starting to separate the pretenders from contenders, and, of course, SEC baseball getting underway. Going to be chilly, though. If you're heading out to the games, make sure you bring a sweatshirt or a blanket or something. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Thank you guys so much for making us your first listen every day. Of course, you can get or go make your second listen. Check out the Locked On Bets podcast with your boy Q and Lee Sterling, giving you all the picks you need. The Locked On Bets podcast. I'm Chris Gordy. You guys have a great weekend. Talk to you guys next week.
Hit 'em hard.